All right, everyone. I hope you're doing well today, wherever you're at. My name is Jeremiah from New Life Counselling. We are going to talk about a very important topic in the world of communication. There's lots of them out there, but this is a really good foundational core one that can help, at least from a being aware side of things, to be able to help you to be able to move forward in the direction you want to go in your communication abilities. Now, I got to be upfront with what we're talking about today. I've been personally working on this concept for well over 15 years, and I still, are you ready? I still mess up. Oh my gosh. It's guilty confessions by the therapist, eh? All right, I still mess up, okay? And guess what? Chances are you're going to mess up too. But it's kind of like when we're learning how to communicate, it's kind of like learning how to type or any other skill set that you may or may not have. I just use typing because I'm not the best typist, but I've had to learn throughout the years how to type. And so typing is an example I like to use. It's kind of like we've got these 1, 2, 3 different areas, okay, of learning. The learning experience in general. There's the I have no idea what I'm doing or learning. It looks good. This is what I call the 2-finger typer, or if you're on your phone, I know how to type. Yeah, that's not typing, that's texting. All right, you get what I'm saying, right? But to be at this level, which is what I call, the experienced person, the expertise, or not expertise, it's a little arrogant sounding, but, where that person's at, where they're like, I got this friend, all right, she types, and when I was in the office co-working with her years ago, oh my gosh, it wasn't that it just drove me crazy. It was almost like intimidating. It just kept reminding me, I need to get faster. Done my report. And I'm like, the client said, and the plan is to, oh man, I got to get better at this. You see, in between these two realms of the beginner phase, just learning, all right, and the experiential side of things, to where now I've mastered what I'm working on, learning, mastering, okay? This is where we want to be, all right? This is where some of us are at, especially when it comes to communication strategies, we're in here. But this in-between zone, this is what I call the awkward phase. It's the place to where I'm like, okay, I'm typing, but don't look at the keys. I looked at the keys. Oh, don't look. Oh, geez, trying to get faster. See, it's that learning curve side. And this is the spot where I don't know where and when and how you're going to go from this place to mastery within what you're doing. Now, there are some theories out there. I mean, there is even, self-help books, if you focus on something and all you do is focus on it within like a 72 or 80 hour plus period of time, depending on the numbers and stuff that are out there, you can master something. All right. Well, let's use that to give us hope. If I can focus on being intentional in how and what I say and go through years of experience and practicing, knowing I'm going to make mistakes, eventually I can get to this place of, I don't like you. Why do you always have, to what I call the midpoint, to go, why do you, meanwhile in the back of your brain, shut up, don't say that. Dude, what are you doing? Don't say that. Oh, but I still said it. Why do you always have, man, because again, awareness is half the battle, as I always say in many of my videos. And so even if I'm aware that what I'm saying is wrong in the back part of my brain, good, because that means you're getting aware to where you can get to this place to go, stop, what do I really need to say? How do I need to say it? And then we can work on getting to that place of mastery. And one of those places in mastery is what I call, where I'm going to introduce at the beginner level for them to be aware and practice until you get to that place of mastery, which again, I'm still working on, is called iMessaging. Now, specifically, iMessaging, there's iMessaging, and it's also known as I feel messaging. I feel messaging is the majority of what I do personally, but I like the concept of iMessaging. However, for those of you who've been watching the communication side of things, all right, or I guess what we'll call the communication series, it's the issue that how we communicate, we sometimes got to adapt and modify. Let me give you an example. Specifically within I messaging, all right, or I feel messaging, I should be to be more exact, all right. This is actually a clinical tool that's used within therapy. It's also a clinical tool that has been recommended by many therapists to use within relational conflict that's happening between two people, like a partner or husband and wife or whatever, mom and a daughter, that, that kind of stuff, or work situations, a boss and the employee, okay. And it simply goes like this, all right, very straight. When you say ... I feel ... Now, the idea behind that is that it allows us to be able to express what we're feeling, all right, to be able to let the other person hear that, and then hopefully a communication can respond. But I'm going to, if it's okay, adapt and modify that concept. Not that I disagree with it. However, for those of you who watch the number one swear word that most couples and people use when they're in conflict, you'll know that the number one swear word, and I'll give it away, but please, if you haven't watched that video, please watch the video, because it sets up a foundation for what we're talking about today. And that is you. Why do you always ... And in conflict, all right, the wording of how it's done, when you say ... I feel ... I stopped doing that probably around 15, 16 years ago when I was working with couples, or when I started working with couples, because that is actually when I just personally began to observe couples were appreciative of what was being said. They felt good saying what they were saying, but there was still this tension that I often observed that didn't need to be there, until one day I realized, oh, the number one swear word is being used, and we got to take that out of it in order to try to decrease that tension a bit more. All right, so this is something, just so you're aware, you're not going to find in a textbook, okay? This is just Experience 101. I hope that's okay. Disclaimer. That's why I got my little disclaimer. If you look at the website, or if you look at the YouTube channel, that's why we put these as therapists there, because not all things are validated. This is just a pure experiential observational opinion that I'm presenting right now, just to clarify, as my own little disclaimer right now. So rather than saying when you, how about we just take the you out? Because if that is going to cause a reaction in close, even though I might have the right intent in how I'm saying something, it might cause the person to go, I'm not listening. Well, we don't want that either, okay? So my preference is to actually teach people to say it this way. When I hear the words, whatever was said or spoken, I feel. Notice what I did there. I added the I, rather than I took the you out and focused on that I. When I heard the words ... I felt. So let's I've been using the weird 16-year-old flashbacks memory of, how come you didn't take out the garbage? And here I may be reacting, going, oh, how dare that person talk? No, I've been watching those videos by Jeremiah. I got to start practicing, I got to start getting to that place of mastering communication. So, version 1, when you say the words, how come you haven't blah, 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 I feel very angry. I feel very hurt, very dismissed, very rejected. And then I can go on to my conversation, or our conversation. let's look at the second one. See which one you like better. Like I say, the first one's been in textbooks for years. So if you want to stick with that, go for it. I'm not asking you to change. I'm just stating personal biased observations that I've worked through throughout the years that support people. That's my bias that I'm sharing right now. So here's the other one. Hey, when I hear those words, you need to take out the garbage, I feel ... Curious what your thoughts are. You can put in the now, for some, it might not make a difference. Who cares? It's semantics. Yeah, but the thing is when we're talking about relationships that might already be in need of repair, I want to do and I want to teach and I want to support and provide every little nuance and strategy that's going to help in a situation to be able to de-escalate a potential crisis or situation that's going to cause hurt in a relationship in order to bring repair. And I've just found that repair happens quicker when I feel ... without saying when you, all right? Hey, I feel very attacked right now. It's making me feel very angry. I'm wondering, can we... See how I'm using I? I'll tell you, using the word I in sentences is an interesting experiment I want to encourage you to try, because it is not easy, in my opinion. I mean, maybe you're that communication expert, and that's awesome. Good. Hopefully that means there are some good... Now, notice I'm purposely trying to use some I communication here now. Hopefully that means that there are some good relationships happening, all right, in the relationships that are surrounding life right now, wherever. And this is a good example of where sometimes you can't avoid you, but hopefully we're not in conflict right now. So if it's okay, I'll just use you a little bit, okay? Wherever you're at. So let's take a work example. The boss is saying, how come this wasn't done by Thursday? I asked to get it done. And instead of going, well, you told me you were going to send it. No, I'm going to use some of those words that we use in the other video. Hey, boss, help me understand what's happening here. It was my understanding, or I was informed by email that I was going to have the email or PDF sent to me, and from there that would allow me to then work towards it, but I have not received that. Now, to be fair, you're right. I probably should have sent an email saying, hey, I haven't received that yet. I was empathetically told, that was my understanding, I was going to be sent when it was going to happen, and I have not received that yet. And if that has happened, or if it went to junk mail, I am wondering, can we figure out a resolution? And I absolutely am willing to work on this to get it done, even though it's past the deadline state. Can we work that out? See, and even sometimes those we words, it just takes down any potential kindling for the fire of tension that's already brewing in this moment, or those moments I should be more specific with, okay? So messaging, so much easier said than done though, because here's the thing. Right now, I'm calm, I'm cool, I'm relaxed. I'm just doing my little training, teaching moment on communication. No problem. But here is the problem. When adrenaline starts kicking in because my amygdala gets overwhelmed, all of a sudden my emotional system, my brain balloon shrinks, my cognitive just is like not thinking. I go into these absolutes, I go into these cognitive distortions, my emotions, I'm getting angry, I'm feeling rejected, I'm hurt, whatever these feelings are that are happening, it makes it really hard to communicate. And so sometimes this is where, when we are using these different things, like in the previous video, we talked about active listening. The moment you feel that tightness in maybe my belly, I don't want to be here, all of these different reactions that happen, it's just our body's way of saying, I need you to fill the brain balloon and breathe. Self-regulate. Now, there are, of course, hundreds of other ways to self-regulate. I just focus on that one because it's often the one that we know what we should do, but we often don't in the moment. That's why we got to practice it before it happens, as I like to say. So while that person's saying that thing, I'm actively listening based on the first video. And then maybe that person goes, well, do you have anything to say about that? Let's say something like that happens and you're like, one more breath. Well, when I hear the words ... I feel, and whatever that is. Now, we don't always have to go, I feel. No, it could just be very logical thoughts too. Hey, when I heard the words, how come that assignment wasn't done by Thursday? I am wondering if we can talk about that. It was my understanding that I was to receive a PDF and it didn't happen, and et cetera, et cetera. Okay. All sorts of different ways we can go in. All right. But we are like way over what I normally would talk about in this situation. But I wanted to get a little more nitty gritty and detailed just to support you with that introduction, the awareness part. See, now you've gone from beginner to now you've got to apply this. And all you got to do, if you're one of those, give me some homework, tell me what to do, Jeremiah, try it. Try talking to a friend or your partner or a child or a coworker without saying the word you, why, or any absolutes such as always, because, never, and just use I words. Hey, how you doing, Jeremiah? Oh, I am doing fine. How is the family doing? Notice how I didn't say how is your family doing. No, how is the family doing? Avoid I wherever you can. And I'm telling you, your brain is going to explode because it is way harder in practice to not use the conventional words that we are used to using, especially from a North American perspective, okay, in Canada, US, okay, where you is a very common term. I, focusing on that, okay. Hey, we're done for right now. We've got some other stuff we're going to continue on in the next videos, but wherever you are, I hope all the best for you, and I look forward in seeing you in our next video, okay? Have a great rest of wherever you're at today.